What if you could close 60 transactions a year, travel for months at a time, and still run a thriving team, all without owning your own brokerage? My next guest did exactly that, and the switch she made changed everything. My guest today is Naleka, an Arizona realtor with 10 years in the industry who has done what most agents only dream about. She has built and ran her own brokerage, consistently closes 60 plus deals a year, pretty much part time, travels for months out of the year, and now runs a team alongside her husband inside eXp Realty and the Wolfpack. She has been there, done that, and when she saw what was on the other side, she made the move and never looked back. The conversation is going to be eye-opening, especially if you are an agent who is grinding it out and wondering if there's a better way. So let's get into it. Naleka, thank you so much for being here. I am so grateful for your time and I'm excited for this conversation.
No, thank you for that awesome intro. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, so let's dive right in. Now, you ran a brokerage for years. What was the experience like, and what eventually made you start looking for something different?
Yeah, definitely. So we kind of followed the normal real estate path, got in, started doing personal production, quickly grew that, ended up facilitating a team. We ended up having what was considered a mega team out here, over 50 agents, which then led us to just getting more insight, more information on what our next step would be, which ultimately at that point seemed like opening our own brokerage. We thought we were already operating pretty similarly anyways, thought it would give us some more control in things that just made more sense, gave us, more things we could do for our agents while still being able to now facilitate and grow things. And, it's like too, when you're growing a team, if you don't have the full infrastructure from start to finish for the lifetime of an agent, they'll grow out of things, they'll get what they need, and then ultimately they get to that next step, which is growing their own team or needing to move on, right? So we were really just trying to find a way to be everything to these agents so that way we could help them from the beginning of their career and then really help them grow and turn this into a business. So ultimately we thought opening the brokerage was going to be the best way to really go about all of that. Full send, we went for it, opened our own brokerage. And at that point, we very clearly saw that, this really wasn't the path we wanted to continue on. My husband and I, as you mentioned, were the ones that partnered together and we're the ones that opened the brokerage together. We are very systematic. We look at all the information. We looked at numerous other brokerages and saw what they were doing, how they were facilitating things. And then ultimately, after getting a lot of information, decided, okay, our best bet here is to then open this brokerage. I will say, it's kind of like getting into real estate. Yeah, you can get all the info, but you don't know it until you're in it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, right, that are surprises, so much additional unnecessary overhead, so many additional conversations that are not turning into anything because you're just repeating the same things to the same people and you're not able to really grow your own business while helping the agents grow their business. So my personal production, I had to take a step back from that because I was the broker for these agents. You have to be available. You have to make sure they have what they need. If anything comes up, right, you're the one ultimately responsible for it. You're now checking every document, every checkbox. I have all these little pieces to the puzzle that have to be done to stay in compliance and be successful, but ultimately are not helping you grow at all. So we got to a place where it was, we need to hire another full-time broker and we need to hire a recruiter. So we're going to be just under about $200K out of pocket to facilitate those positions, right? To get good people.
That's wild. Yeah.
That's wild. And then we already have overhead. We already have offices. We already have insurance. We already have accounting departments. We already have all these other things in place that we're paying for. And I'm still not able to do as much production because we're helping the agents facilitate things. So to a point, you got to slow down, right, to then fully grow it. So we got that part of it. But ultimately, we were like, this is not the way to slow down and slingshot forward. We are just slowing down. Like, this is not the way. So we ended up, Joshua Smith, who's just a juggernaut in the industry. We partnered with him since the beginning of our career. And it kind of all worked out simultaneously to where we could partner with him over at eXp, the amazing Wolfpack that we're all a part of. So after we did our due diligence there and got all of the information and saw that rather than paying multiple six figures and then managing those positions and hoping they're going well, we could just plug our boutique brokerage into this juggernaut. We saved money, we saved time. I immediately was able to get back into my full-time production, and I've never been more present for the agents than we currently have been. Everything that we can pour into them, all the one-on-ones, the trainings that we do specifically for them. I'm not wasting time anymore on things that don't make sense for us. But now we're actually able to partner with somebody who's kind of been there, done that. And now we can attach ourselves to them and all really just propel that growth. So that's a little bit just kind of on the start to finish on why we even opened the brokerage, a little bit about what it was like. And then ultimately, that's why we decided to go to EXP. It really was a no-brainer to save time and money and have more resources.
I love that. And that kind of answers the second question, which was why you came over and why you chose EXP and the Wolfpack. But I love that you guys are such a force. And I think since we met, like we hit it off so nicely. And I love that you guys are so supportive and willing to help other agents, because I think that's missed a lot in this industry. I think you and I have a similar mindset. Like we want to see everybody win. And it takes a lot of, it takes a community to do that. And so I think what you guys have grown is exactly that. And I absolutely love it. I love the way that you guys work. I love the systems you have in place and the way that you guys do business. So I appreciate you sharing that. And so you mentioned you now have more time and you make more money since making the switch over. So what does that actually look like day to day compared to before?
Yeah, absolutely. And to touch on your second question as well. So coming to EXP and the Wolfpack was definitely not a light decision we made. As I mentioned, we did a lot of research about it as well. And EXP is massive. There's a million people that you could join, right? EXP. This particular organization through the Wolfpack, the amount of collaboration, like you were saying, it's unmatched. Everybody, there are so many players and they're all happy to share. They want to see you win. We're all very open to telling people exactly how we got to where we are in our own fields. So it's just been amazing for sure. And I will say that the collaboration and just even the camaraderie of the agents over here, very different. It's been absolutely amazing. And then to jump into a little bit on just what it's, done for us time-wise and a little bit of differences in our schedule. So I am very systematic. I run and live and die by my calendar. I don't fly by the seat of my pants. We're very, this, then that. The way that I run my business with our clients as well, I do everything virtually. I've got showing partners. So when I say we don't like fly by the seat of our pants, I mean it in every sense of the word, even in being a full-time agent. So we had things set up to where, right, they're running themselves. We had a system for our agents. If they needed things, they could plug in here. So we thought we were going to be in good shape coming over to the brokerage. We could just add to it. Well, cut to, we opened our brokerage right when that whole massive real estate lawsuit came up. So this past August 17th. Yes, it was right during that time. So rather than having the best of the best reviewing that and then relaying it to our agents, yours truly had to dig in on all of that information, watch all the trainings, get all the details, and then put on my own trainings for that. And then you'll be very specific and you're telling these agents exactly how important this is, exactly what to be doing. And then you'll get messages like, hey, I'm going to show a home. Do I have to have a buyer broker? And you're like, what? Like, absolutely, right? So even though you're getting all this information, I'm still wasting time on these crazy questions, right? So a lot of things that, again, are not money making, but you have to get done in order to stay in compliance. Now I'm behind the scenes and I'm doing all of that. So my day-to-day turned from solely money making producing activities to now I have to make sure the agents have all the education they need. I need to make sure if they have any questions, we're answering that. And when you're the broker, the only other person you can go to is the attorney that you've also had to pay for and hire, right? Not like where we are now, where you have, again, the best of the best and the top attorneys reviewing everything to a T and then trickling that down to us. We had to take the time, put the money in, and then do all of that. So what that creates is a full day of just busy work to make sure that you're in compliance, your agents are moving. And then I'm now spending the later part of my day working on my own business. So then I still had to lead gen. I had to facilitate clients. I had to go to listing appointments. So it turned from having a business that could be run from anywhere, any place with freedom, part-time. I can close 60 plus transactions working part-time, being half the time in my state, no problem, to a T, right? I know exactly how that'll work. That point to where we opened our brokerage, I was all day, every day, doing less production and working more hours. So the day-to-day just completely changed to having to facilitate all these things they really don't tell you about when you are getting into it, and then you're thrust into it and having to take care of just, again, a lot of things that have to be done, but they're not making you any money. So it was a lot of things, I don't want to say wasted time, because I know it was what needed to be done at that point, but ultimately it was a waste of time. So I found myself like waking up on Mondays, loving it, having my, set schedule, knowing my time with my family was protected, to then being back in the fields of just, it's constant, nothing's predictable. And after a little bit of that, just over a year it was, I knew, I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, this is not fulfilling. This is not how I run my business. So we need to make a big change here. And that's when we started looking at things.
That is understandable. I can't imagine having that kind of like, not just the responsibility, but all that stress, like making sure not just you and your business are compliant, but all of your agents. And lately, I mean, we've taken the industry has taken some hits in the last few years. So, I mean, that's always changing. I was just talking to somebody about that the other day. Like, can they just leave our industry alone for a little while, please? Let us get like,
let's take a break. Let us take in what happened last before you keep throwing all the rest of this stuff. I agree.
Yeah. So, it's just been wild. But I mean, that's so. I'm glad that you don't have to deal with that anymore, because it definitely shows up in your work too. Okay, so you're closing 60 plus transaction a year, and you said that you're doing it pretty much part time. So, what systems and strategies make that level of production possible without burning out?
Yeah, definitely. So I'll start this by saying I try to keep it as simple as possible so you can replicate it. So it's something I don't get burned out doing. I don't want to have all of these things that I have to manage that then allow me to do that. I want to have as little as possible, and then everybody, right, just facilitates what they need to accordingly. So I'll also start this off by saying it was not like this at the beginning. I was working 7 days a week, 15-hour days, like the ramp up to get here and then put things in place. I feel like it's not something people always talk about, right? Where they just see what it is now. It was not always this. I've earned many a gray hairs putting this process in place. So I would say give yourself some grace. It's not like this right from the beginning, but you also don't have to be flying by the seat of your pants for every appointment, and you can have a lot of structure in your business. So one of the most important things that I learned, there's actually an NAR stat on this, over 74% of people would pick a new agent if over an agent they used, liked, trusted, had a good experience with, if they thought this new agent had a specific process they could follow. So that's all we've done. We've put systems and processes in place that are very easy to pick up and follow. So our clients know exactly what to expect throughout the transaction. But over 90% of my clients, I actually don't meet any of them in person anymore. So we've got 5-star reviews from over 170 5-star Google reviews from people, again, that we've never met. So I can't stress that enough, because it does work. You don't have to be the one doing every single thing for your clients for them to see value in you and what you're doing. And I think that's kind of one of the first pieces to the puzzle, because the mental shift and knowing it doesn't have to be you. It just has to get done, and it has to get done correctly in a systematic way. It doesn't have to be you, and your clients don't care that it's you. So thing is that I do at this point, all my lead gen is online. So that allows us to take in clients, right? Be anywhere, anytime. I'm not door knocking. I used to do a ton of open houses at the beginning, not doing that anymore. So the lead gen, now that it's fully online, again, we can take in leads and we can move forward accordingly from there. I handle my consultations virtually. So I let my clients know we're going to be meeting on Zoom. Always of value. It's always something that's helpful to them. And honestly, after COVID, people were doing school things for their children via Zoom. They were doing doctor's appointments via Zoom, right? So it just became a lot more normal. People appreciate it. Serious people can click a button and hop onto an appointment. The show rate is amazing doing them virtually, but I conduct my consultations virtually. So it doesn't matter where I am, what I'm doing. I can be out of town for 2 months straight, and I'm still taking in buyers and then pushing them through that funnel to have a consultation, secure them with the buyer broker, and then get them out on showings. When it comes to the showing portion of it, I've got people in place, and it takes me no more than 3 full-time boots on the ground people to do consistent 70. I do just over 70 transactions. I put 60 on there, but I was looking at my numbers again, just over 70 technically with these 3 people. Lots of people in there. It's not like I've got all these agents doing all these things, just a small core group. And then when I have clients that are ready to get out and view homes, I've already gone over things in my consultation, so they know what to expect through the showing part, and they know they're going to be connected with my showing partner at that point. So it's all just very streamlined. They know we work together and it's to fully take care of them and make sure they have a great experience. And then I've got somebody who does every single boots on the ground activity that you can think of. I do keep, and it's very easy to do, I keep the same agent with the same clients. It's not like they've got like a new door opener every time. So it builds those relationships and it helps the showing agents. They love it. There's people who don't like all the back end. They don't like the lead gen, but they love being out in front of people. And now we partnered together. And just to kind of give it like a blanket overview with doing the online lead gen, doing the virtual consultations, and then having a showing partner in place, that's literally it. And with those things, I can just essentially be anywhere, anytime, and then the business will still flow continuously.
Oh, I love it. I need a page out of your book because that's where I'm at my business. And so you do social media referrals and networking, which are a big part of your business sources. So how do you use these three together to keep your pipeline consistently full?
Yes, definitely. Okay. So a couple things. You got to have the buildup, right? You got to have the people to put in the pipeline. So doing the open houses, being at a ton of events, going to everything my clients invited me to for the first 5 years. That's what's allowed these last 5 years to be very different in the incoming business because I built a pipeline that way, right? If people reach out and they needed, help on their credit for 2 years, didn't care. Let's go. We will take you in. We will build that pipeline. So just that slow burn over time and getting people in initially that way to then follow up with was definitely very helpful. At this point, I've got a very good past client database. And if you have past clients, that is 100% one of your best lead sources.
Absolutely.
So I work that religiously. And then I do Instagram for sure, but not like I do Facebook. And I know Facebook can be like this old dusty lead gen place, but I promise you it works. I love it. Affluent people hang out on Facebook. People with down payment money are on Facebook. So I love Facebook. That's one of the main sources that I use. And then I've got a community group that I run as well. We take about 3 to 5 deals a month that we get come from that specific group. So all online primarily at this point through just Facebook, posting properties, posting things that we're doing. It literally is that simple. There's nothing special, nothing different that we're doing. Putting out relocation guides, right? Showing people pictures of nice properties, giving interest rate information, and then asking if they want a relocation guide or a new build guide. So just those really simple things that we hear literally everybody doing. With consistency, they definitely work, and that's what's continued to build our pipeline. But now we just saturate on social, follow up with those leads, and then really heavy on the past client follow up, which is literally just texts and check-ins and Facebook comments. It doesn't get any easier. I think people overcomplicate really what it is, but it's just the consistent touches. And ultimately, between those handful of things, that's exactly where the deals we're doing currently are coming from. Of course, a little bit mixed in there is then the referral that we get from people, but I feel like the past client follow-up is what drives the consistent referrals as well.
Absolutely. That's amazing. You've done such a good job. I've seen some of what you do on the Facebook side of things. I also rely on Facebook because I look at it like Facebook is kind of my sphere. It's like the people who already know and love me. And so staying on Facebook consistently is a great way to stay in front of them. Whereas Instagram, it's a lot more, I have a lot more agents that I'm connected with than potential clients. So I do feel like there's a difference, at least for me. But yeah, and another one that I love that works really well for business is LinkedIn. A lot of people don't think about that. And I touch on that because you said people on Facebook have down payment money. And that's how I feel about LinkedIn. Like you're networking with people who are working. So I've gotten a few like decent leads from LinkedIn. So I think it's great that, we're all diving into like the social media aspect, which is, what the Wolfpack is kind of about. So, but I'm going to switch gears a little bit. So you and your husband run your team together at EXP, Armando. I just did an interview with him a couple weeks ago. So what does that partnership look like? And how do you guys make it work both professionally and personally?
Oh, girl, we're going to do a whole new podcast on this one. So we've definitely got some tips here on this one. It has been something that we have crafted over time, something that we definitely still work on. We've been together for almost 20 years. So it's been a long time we've been together. Yeah. I was a stay-at-home mom for the first 8 years that we were together, and he worked in corporate America. So the lives that we started with and just the roles that we took on in each other's lives have completely shifted. They are night and day. I used to like have vacuum lines when he came home and dinner on the table. And now it's like 10 p.m. and I'm like, can you pick up dinner, please? I hope I'll be home, right? So just things definitely shifted. When you get into the business, it's very different, the amount of things that you have to go do. So you guys have to really be open-minded and knowing like if we're going to grow this together, we're both going to have to jump in on some things that are new. We're going to have to help each other. We're going to have some grace here. But ultimately, dialing in the roles that you each are doing was hands down one of the most helpful things to us, especially when if you and your partner are very, so him and I are very similar in a lot of ways. And it's like we get shit done, we move fast, we both like think we know exactly how we want it, and that's the way to do it, right? Which can be helpful, but if you're both doing the same things, you are just butting heads for sure, and you both want to kind of do it your way, right? So if you get specific goals outlined, which at this point, he handles everything on the back end for the business. He does the recruiting, he brings the agents on, he does all those materials, he runs all of our ads for that side of the business, systems, tracking, all of that stuff he does. I do things on the front end when it comes to transactions, when it comes to letting agents know how to actually facilitate a deal and how to be out in the field. So we have compartmentalized things to now where if there's a question in this bucket of things, that is your world, you answer, whatever you decide, great, go with it. Same thing over here. This is my world. If I've got a question, this is how I'll answer it. He's good to go with it, and we can just keep moving in our own ways here. We have our entire lives tangled together, right? Intertwined, which is really crazy. Yeah. We've got teenagers, so it's our personal life. We've got work together. We've got a million personal things, right? So sometimes we joke. I'm like, we would literally never argue if we just worked separate jobs where you leave at like 6 a.m. and you come home at 6 p.m. and it's like, hi, right. Catch up, right? Totally, it'd be insane, right? We have so many conversations throughout this. Some days we don't see each other all day. Some days we have conversations all day long, right? And there's fires that come up. There's things that happen in your business that you're now having to deal with together. And by the end of the day, sometimes you have to like really go back in the mindset of like, you're my business partner during these times and you are my husband or my wife during these times, and kind of be able to compartmentalize some of it and shut off like, you might have pissed me off at work earlier today, but we're going to have a good dinner together personally, right? So those things I think are really helpful. And then ultimately, we've just been really, the more understanding and patient you can be with the other person, and trust me, being together as teenagers, we did not always communicate the way that we do now, but I think being in this together has really helped us. And we just try to keep ourselves in the framework of like, how do you communicate with your clients during a frustrating situation? If we can just communicate that way during those times, then like your personal emotions aren't coming in on it. You're not letting a work situation snowball and now it's a personal fight too, because trust me, that is very easy to do when you guys do everything together. But ultimately, knowing our own roles and respecting that each of us know what we're doing in those roles, and then coming together as a whole has been, I think, one of our most important things. And then the final thing that we do that I think is really helpful is we have weekly meetings. So we meet every Wednesday is our current time, 6 p.m. And we just go over business things and we go over personal things. And it's just a very black and white, like, is there anything that we want to talk about? Is there anything business-wise we need to move on? Did we piss each other off at all in the personal space that somebody needs to put up here, right? It's not always rainbow and sunshines. And I think people also, and I'm so guilty of this on social media, but it's a highlight reel, right? We're not showing how we argued in the morning over a crazy situation we have, and now we're at the team meeting together, right? So definitely, I think people who have successful relationships, you argue, you just have successful arguments as well. You do it in a manner that's constructive and uplifting, and then you can move to that next space. So ultimately, I think just organizing things and then having a space to kind of be able to speak about things weekly, I think has really helped us get back in track, because we've had some tough years in the business together for sure. But all in all, we just keep in the mindset, like, all this shit could be gone tomorrow. Like, us together is what matters, and we can always rebuild and do what we need to do. So that's the core focus.
I love it. I think that's so great. And I think it's really important to have those conversations, personal and business. So I love that you guys touch on that and you get to address things in your own personal time, but consistently, because I feel you can see it. You can see that it's working for you guys, and it's awesome that you guys do that. I don't think enough people do that. So I love that you shared that. Thank you so much. So my last question is for an agent who is sitting on the fence about leaving their brokerage or going out on their own. What would you tell them based on what you guys have done?
Okay, so a couple things I would say here is, even to backtrack a little bit, I would think like, why are you on the fence? If you've got one foot in, one foot out, it's
Right.
for a reason, right? Like being over here, I got to like, I am all in. There's no thoughts. Like somebody couldn't come pitch something to me and me be enticed by it. Like this is
Right.
yes, and
Same.
I'm so confident.
Yeah. Same.
I know how good it is. So I know what we have here, and I'm not willing to give it up. So I think you're ultimately like, if you've got one foot in, one foot out, you're on the fence either way, that's for a purpose. So start doing some research, and really, I think you need to first know as an agent, which I think a lot of people just kind of get out there and they expect the next person they're with or the person they partner with to have the magic pill or to be able to tell them what they need to hear, what they want to do. You need to know in yourself, like, what is it that you're doing? What is your income goal, right? What do you need? What's important to you? And then when you're looking for a brokerage, they're not interviewing you, you are interviewing them. So I think that's kind of step one. And then if you're thinking about, obviously a new space or maybe what's important to you, I think that coming over here, just in speaking in my own experience, it plugged every hole that we had. It propelled our business. Things that we were already doing that I needed some more help on or to fine tune, they do that. They offer that resource. So there are definitely, like, this brokerage, everything that it offers is kind of mind blowing. Like once you get in, you're like, okay, what's real? Like, show me like the unveiled curtain here about really what's going on. How is this really happening? It's almost like too good to be true. But one of the favorite phrases that I heard about EXP is, when you're at another brokerage, you're renting. When you're at EXP, you're an owner. And that is so true. So I think the final step to that would be, if you're on the fence, like, what is it that your broker is doing for you? Because remember that they're there to service you. They're there to help you. It's not so they can answer the phone here and there and get a giant chunk of your compensation, right? So what is it that you need from your broker and what's important to you? And then ultimately, I think you just get into it, interviewing it, and pulling the trigger. I think another mistake people make is waiting for months on end or thinking it's going to be too hard because they've got a couple transactions going. You need to rip the Band-Aid, get to a new state, and you need to start taking that action. And that's what we had to cut a pretty fatty check to cut off everything that it wasn't a quick transition. We had, I think, probably over 50 escrows in motion between myself and the agents. Like, it was a big, tedious decision, and I would never go back or second guess it. And I'm so glad we did everything as fast as we did.
Yeah, I agree with that. EXP is my fourth brokerage, and it's the one that I've been with the longest for that reason. Like, I got in and then it's like, oh, we have this. Oh, we have this and this, and the support too is just phenomenal. And I think that's a huge leg of it. But I do like that I'm an owner in this company. That's, I try to tell, I'm like, the brokerage is owned 49% by the agent. So I don't know anybody else who's doing that, but I think you're right too. If you're on the fence, like, obviously there's some sort of something agents should be exploring. So I think you hit that right on the head. But I really appreciate your time here, and your story is exactly what happens when somebody who has already done it all finds a smarter way to do things. So you've created more freedom, more income, more life, and that's what I think this is all about. And so for those of you watching, if the conversation resonated with you, hit the subscribe button so you don't miss a single interview on this channel. And if you're ready to stop grinding and start building something that gives you your life back, click the link in the description and book a call with Naleka and I will make sure to have Naleka's handles in the description as well, so you can follow along with her. And thank you so much for being here today, Naleka. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, see you later.